All right, so what's going on, guys? So I want to touch on a recent news that Apple had announced that for their emojis, the pregnant man was going to be unveiled in a recent or near update. And so that's going to follow suit with, I think, Android and many other people. And so it sparked a big debate. And obviously over the weekend, a lot of people have been speaking out against it or for it and back and forth. And so I want to touch a little bit on that. And so the Unicode Code Consortium, which is a nonprofit group that dictates what emojis and what things can go into some of these tech platforms, has agreed to do this, right? And so it's representatives from various companies, but it's very clear that they have a very liberal, left-leaning, whatever you want to call it, a wokeism mentality of supporting and helping this transgender sort of movement and cause, right? And so I want to touch on this. And before I say anything about transgender, the pregnant thing, and tech in general, the people there. I always say this in love and in grace. I don't ever condemn the person. I don't want to speak ill of a group or a person, but rather the action, the words, and the decisions that they make, right? And so that is what I'm targeting. And so in grace and in love, I talk about the people, the companies, and these things. But if you are misguided or if you're moved in a way that is not biblical, then I'm going to firmly talk about that. And so that's what I want to touch on a little bit. If you are in a camp of, oh man, is transgender right or not, or, I have mixed opinions on different things, I'm here to tell you very clearly that God's position on man and woman is that he made man a man and a woman a woman. And in Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, it clearly states that. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And so you have to remember that God, in his great just awe and wonder of who he is, in that image, he firmly created this man who has male tendencies, and I'm not going to go into the details, right? And female, and female, they have female tendencies, which is in one of them to give birth. And so this thing does not change. If you've lived life all this time and you've seen and witnessed all kinds of things, there has never been an instance for which a born man has ever gave birth to a child. And you are fooling yourself if you think by facts, by anything. I can tell you, I can survey the world. I can go, even if I have not seen it ever in my life, I can tell you 100% of the time, without a shadow of a doubt, that in any instance in history, never has that happened ever. And so you are kidding yourself. And I'm not here to yell at somebody who has, a view or whatever it is. I'm telling you factually, that is with 100% confidence that that's what happens, right? And anyone that's telling you something different, they're going off of different arguments. Like, well, after you have a gender, surgery, and after you do your transgender thing, then you can technically, no. When God created somebody, they were born this, and they were born male or female. And that's what it is. Now, for someone going through a crisis, an identity crisis, they want to be something that God hasn't created them to be. Yeah, there's different topics there of in grace and in mercy and maybe counseling or whatever it is. People go through phases. And more importantly, it is the society that's telling you certain things like, oh, you have an image problem, you don't be who you want to be, blah, blah, blah. But biblically speaking, it's very clear that God created you in a certain way, and you should be proud of how God has made you. And yeah, there are some things you can change. Obviously, your character, certain personality things, I don't know, the way you can work out and get more fit. You don't have to be a slob, things like that. But the fact is, certain things, and especially at sort of the highest level, and what I mean by that is just the binary truth of who God created you to be, that does not change. It's man and it's female. It's man and woman, and that's it, guys. And anybody that doesn't know God, anybody that has any atheist views or whatever, they will say this truth deep down. They should say the same thing. If they don't, then they're deceiving themselves, right? And so that's why in Isaiah chapter 5, in verse 20, it says that woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. And so The Bible is saying that there's people out there that are going to call good evil and evil good. They're going to say that, oh no, God, I know God created all of us to be a man or a woman, but you know what? That's not good enough for me. I'm going to give some other title. I'm going to be gender neutral. I'm going to be non-binary. I'm going to be blah, blah, blah. But what you're saying there is you're saying, God, I reject that you had created me in this way. Just like the Bible says in Genesis 1, I reject you, God. I reject this to your face and tell you that I'm not happy with nor proud of who I am. And that's what this Bible's saying. And as a warning, Isaiah is saying that woe unto them, right? And I'm going to say this about what's going on. And I have no shame in doing this because this movement, it's not good because it's advocating for a position, a truth, or a position that is not true. Okay. And it's gaslighting people. It's telling people, well, you should question your paradigm and your understanding of who male and female are, right? And again, all love, all grace goes out to people that are struggling with, identity crisis, being, homosexual or whatever it is, right? But the fact is, you can't reject what God has already done in creating a person in this way. And so the problem we have in society is that this sort of movement, this ideology, it's moving in a way where it's just helping the other side, this wokest left movement, right? Of saying like, no, there's no binary, there's no whatever. You can be whoever you want to be. It's not helping that Apple and these Unicode consortiums are telling people, well, now you can have an emoji. Now you can do this. Now let's label the bathrooms as blah, 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 right? And there's all these different movements that are only helping the cause of the other side. And in the Bible, whenever things like this happen, and specifically with, astral poles, statues of Baal, times in society for which massive movements had strayed people aside to go towards idols. And this is the modern day idol, guys. Being able to look at this gender binary thing and saying, oh, no, this is not true. You can be whoever you want to be and men can get pregnant. This is an idol. This is a statue, a modern day statue of Baal, a modern day astral pole that people are erecting and raising up and worshiping. Same goes for abortion. Same goes for many other issues. But the fact that a lot of people, especially the young generation and people that are disoriented, confused about this, and at worst, they're committing suicide over it. They have depression, they have mental issues. And a lot of it is because step by step, little by little, these people are calling good evil and evil good. They're calling what is darkness light, light for darkness. And they're pushing this agenda and no more. And if you are at a precipice as a Christian, I know many of you guys are watching, you're a Christian. If you're at that precipice, you have to be standing up. You can't be letting these little things, come at you, and especially in your household, right? Especially in your schools and many places. If you have a voice, if you have a power, if you have action that you can take, I suggest that you pray and you take that, because in the Bible, when the astral poles, the statues of Baal were erected, there were only two ways that people came together to fight this, because it came in waves. It was erected and then it was torn down. And the way it was torn down was one of two ways, according to the Bible. The first is kings, people in leadership and power, they tore it down. People, Jehu comes to mind, right? He brought all the worshipers of Baal and killed them off and took the towers and just eradicated that, right? And many other kings as well. The other way is that people come up as a grassroots effort. I think 2 Chronicles 23 or whatnot mentions that all these people came and they tore down these statues. And this happens when you wake up and when you realize that enough is enough, that you can't be allowing these demonic anti-God movements come at you. And so this is an example, guys. Don't be sitting there like, oh, that's okay. Well, we should just continue loving people. This is what is a modern day wicked statue of Baal, guys. And I'm not ashamed to say this, guys. And who knows, I might be censored or banned. I don't know, right? But this is what it is. And I want someone to argue with me and say, when has there ever been an instance of a man becoming pregnant? There has not been. And for you to support and just instigate that in helping people feel better about their crisis and their identity and the transgender movement of surgeries and these things, that's That's wickedness, guys. And so again, there's two ways to go about this. I say this with a positive outlook. I believe that a lot of the people that are being stirred up right now, when they get elected or they get put in positions of power, whether it's in government, whether it's in big tech, whether it's in other places, you have to speak up, and you have to, in love and in grace, showcase that this is not right. We have to ban it. We have to outlaw it. We have to have a voice, because otherwise the ungodly people, the people that call good evil and evil good, they're going to step up. And it says, woe to those. And God is moving. God will always strike down. I think about the Tower of Babel, right? And the God striking that down. He's in a point right now where it's building up. And we have to, as a people group, step up. And if not, then we have to pray and allow the government leaders, the people that have Christian and godly values, to be able to strike this down. And so that's why things like the Supreme Court, that's why things like the election and all that stuff that's going to happen, those things are important. So this is a bigger movement. This is a bigger issue of a modern day statue of Baal, a modern day Asherah pole. And again, woe to those who support this. Woe to those that say this is, okay, and worse, advocate for it and pass law or things to implement that into society, because you're not helping. And so you have to step up, you have to pray, you have to be able to be aware of it. Be aware of it. Teach your kids, teach your friends, have healthy discussion. I'm not saying go out and just cause a ruckus, but I'm saying what is true. And this right now, guys, is absolutely true. If you are against the fact that men cannot get pregnant, then you are disillusioned. You are disillusioned. I have no fear, no shame saying that, because that's what it is, guys. So be blessed, be encouraged. Talk to you guys very soon.